It's a very good day for Boeing. I mean, they've managed to raise 21.1 billion, and that's one of the largest ever by a public company. And that sort of staves off a potential credit rating downgrade, which is all three credit rating agencies had warned that Boeing could be downgraded junk as they were burning through cash amid their whole production slowdowns and their whole issues with production, as well as a strike, which is now in its seventh week, and that's still not resolved. But yeah, they were burning through a lot of cash at the moment.
What else can we expect from Boeing executives to roll out and unveil soon to once again try to shore up investor confidence?
I think the most important thing for investors at the moment is for Boeing to actually resolve the workers' strike because at the moment they're unable to produce their 737 MAX jet and some of the other sort of models. And the 737 MAX is really what Boeing's cash cow. And so they need to get production of that going again in order to actually start generating cash. So, I mean, they've shored up the balance sheet, they've managed to sort of avert a downgrade, but at the same time, they need to be able to start generating cash and bringing that cash in the door. That will actually help them get across this line and basically turn the company around. And so the new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, is talking about how the company needs to sort of refocus on its priorities. And this is one of the areas that they need to focus on and get that strike resolved. And that's what investors are really looking to see when that will be sorted out.
Is there any consensus building out there, Sid? You mentioned we're now in the seventh week of this strike, and both sides have seemed to be pretty entrenched. There's been a couple of offers, both kind of turned down by the rank and file. Is there any sense that you can expect this thing to be, closed in the next days or maybe a week or two?
It's anybody's guess at the moment. I mean, both sides actually want the deal to go through, and I think for Boeing, it's vital to sort of get production back again because I mean, remember, it's not going to be a immediate ramp up to where they were prior to the strike. It's going to be a slow ramp up again in terms of production, and so for Boeing to actually get into 2025, they need to be able to sort of start producing planes again and resolving that strike. And for the workers, I mean, they have been on strike for 7 weeks now, so they will be sort of looking to get some sort of deal. But at the same time, they do want to make sure that they get their deal because they have talked about how in the past contract negotiations, they haven't quite got what they wanted and they were sort of strong armed into taking a bad deal. And so this time around, given that Boeing really needs the workers on board and they do need to get that production going because they have a huge backlog. I mean, the backlog on the 737 MAX stretches out into almost into the next decade. And so for Boeing, they really need to get production going and start delivering those planes to customers who are eagerly waiting those planes.
Is there a potential timetable for how, because you were just talking about this slow ramp up in production, how long it could take to, as far as a timeline for that backlog?
Boeing hasn't talked about in terms of what the timeline would look like in terms of getting production back and on track and getting back to 38 a month, which is what their target was after they were sort of had to deal with the blowout of that door plug back in January, which is when the FAA restricted production to 38 a month until they were confident about Boeing's quality processes. And so just to get back to that level, their Boeing hasn't said how long that will take. And the company had previously planned to raise production beyond that level in order to actually meet that backlog. So far, Boeing hasn't really talked about timelines, and they've talked about how they will be burning cash through the first half of next year. And so at the moment, it's still sort of anybody's guess, but Boeing needs to get production going because that backlog needs to be served because there's lots of old airplanes that need to be upgraded.